Hey, everybody. Welcome to Start Peninsula's Meet the Resources event. It's the third time that we've done this. It's been a really popular event that we've had, so we continue to bring this back year after year. And I guess one thing to add with Meet the Resources is there's more demand for people to from the resource side to pitch, so to speak, than there are slots available. So that's really cool to see everybody that wants to step up and show you, the founders of the early stage startups, that there are resources available for you to take advantage of. So what does today look like? It is Meet the Resources. We are turning the table, so to speak. So rather than you, the founders, pitching to the judges and being under the microscope, we are going to have the resources. They'll have 5 minutes to talk about the resources that they can provide you. This is being recorded, so we'll get the copy of the recording out to everybody, and we'll divide everything up into individual segments as well, so that it's easy for you to refer back to when the time is needed for you to draw upon these resources. I'd like to thank all of the localities for making Start Peninsula possible. York County, which is our host locality this year, along with James City County, the city of Williamsburg, Newport News, Hampton, and Poquoson. They are the ones that make all of this possible. So thank you for that. The way that everything is structured again today is we try to have this ordered in the sense of, we understand that it's just a hodgepodge. When you're the founder, you wear all kinds of hats and everything is coming at you in every single direction. And it can be somewhat overwhelming, but everything is we have everything laid out in a way that try to making it some sort of logical order, in the sense of learning what economic development can do for you from locality to locality. It may vary, but there's something in place there that they can provide. But then going through IP and then learning how to do customer discovery, your accelerators, incubators, co-working spaces, we try to make this in a logical flow so that it doesn't look like a total mess. With that, I'm going to kick things over to Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson's going to talk to us about what economic development is and what they can do for you. So without further ado, Matt.
Well, thanks a lot, Tim. Everybody that's joining us on this, I just thank you for being engaged with this. Thank you for being part of the entrepreneurial community in our area. We are excited to have you all on board. There's been a lot of things that have happened in our area when it comes to entrepreneurship over the last few years, and we're really excited to continue to see things go forward. So like Tim said, on behalf of the other localities that are involved in the Start Peninsula effort, we just want to welcome you to this and let you know that we're here to work with you and encourage you as we can. So real quick, I just want to talk about the role that your local economic development office plays and sort of what our purpose is. I'll speak a little bit from the York County perspective specifically with a couple of different examples, but I'll try to keep things in broad generalities. So what does your local economic development office do? Well, our main responsibility is to help grow and diversify the local business tax base and the local economy. And part of the way that we do that is through the work that you all are doing as entrepreneurs, bringing new ideas, bringing reshaped things to the market. So we are here to serve as one of your primary supports at the local level when it comes to working with government. We are here first and foremost to be your liaison between you as a business person, business individual, your company, and local government resources. So I always tell everybody, if you are not sure where to start with something, you don't know whether this is something you need to do, something you need to get a special license for, a special zoning requirement, anything along those lines, please, and I know I'm speaking not just on behalf of York County at this point, but all of the local economic developers, please reach out to your local economic development department first and foremost, because our role and what we do is we help you navigate through those processes. And we are more than happy to do that. We understand that government and some of the different restrictions and regulations and requirements can get a little bit messy, and you can get bogged down in those. We are here to try to make that process as easy and simple as we can for you. So we really want to make sure that you look at us as your primary point of contact when it comes to working with local governments. Like I said, a few examples specifically, if you're not sure what your business license looks like, you're not sure whether you have to have a specific zoning type of thing in place for your business, please let us know, because even if it's not something we do within our department specifically, we can often direct you exactly to the right person or right department that you need to speak to without having to go through a bunch of different layers that get you directed around different places and really can honestly just be frustrating. So if you're not sure who it is, reach out. I know Andrew just put my information in the chat. If you're not sure who your local economic development department and points of contact are, feel free to drop me an email. I am more than happy to give you their information. I know all the folks locally. We all work very well together. We're happy to help you with that. Another thing that we do very well, and I think this is a great example, again, thanks to Tim and his team for putting together this Meet the Resources event. We really strive, whether it's an individual business owner or whether it's a large corporation, we really strive to connect you to the appropriate resources that you need based upon whatever your company has, what your challenges are, what kind of successes you're looking to have. And those resources can be private in nature, other businesses, other organizations, those in the nonprofit sector that support business, but also some of the different state and federal agencies that are there to support businesses as well. So somebody like Small Business Development Center, your local chambers of commerce, some of these other groups that you're going to talk to, I know later on in this particular Meet the Resources event, we are happy to help connect you with those as well. We also do some different things. We don't serve the role of a commercial broker or real estate agent, but we can also try to give you an idea of what types of space are available. If you're the type of person that either you don't have room in your house, because a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors do start sort of in a home-based environment, which we support those businesses as well. But if you're looking to move sort of outside of that for any reason, we can give you an idea of some of the different types of spaces that are available within the area localities, whichever one we represent, and put you in contact with the people that actually represent those properties so that we can help you grow and expand. And again, as part of that, we can work with some of the different zoning issues that may come along with that and making sure that you have the proper usage in place. We do have some different programs, and these do vary from locality to locality. I know in York County, we have an e-commerce development grant. If you are a business, you have a business license in York County, you can get up to $500 in matching funds as a reimbursement for e-commerce solutions that you're either building or you're enhancing something you already have. If you're a woman or minority owned business, you can get up to $1,000 in matching reimbursement. There are other localities that have very similar types of programs. So if you're looking to build or expand an online presence as part of your entrepreneurial endeavors, reach out to our office. We have some other programs that can help as well. Some are available for businesses right off the bat. Some are available once you've been in business for a certain length of time, whether that be a year, 6 months, something along those lines. So if you have questions about what kinds of incentive programs, what kind of loan programs may be available, you can also reach out to your local economic developers to help with that as well. So I think really, I know time is sort of short and we're compressing some different things. If you have any questions, again, Andrew put my information there in the chat. Do not hesitate to reach out, give me a call, send me an email. I just really want you to think of economic developers in your particular locality as your first stop for any type of questions that you have. If you know they're about the locality or you're not sure exactly who the person or group is that you need to contact, reach out to us first. Let us help guide you and direct you, talk to you about what you want to do to hopefully try to simplify things and get you through the process as quickly as possible. So I think with that, I've given you the quick 5-minute spiel on what economic development is and what we can do for you. Look forward to working with all of you all here in the future.
Thanks, Matt. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Matt. You have his email address. In terms of like, what is the biggest pitfall or mistake that people make? Is it a zoning aspect?
So I would say probably the biggest pitfall, it depends on which part of the process you're looking at. I will say that we've had a lot of people that try to go into a new space and they think they can do something in the space. And then unfortunately, once they've actually signed a long-term lease, or if they've happened to be the person that wants to purchase property, and then they find out they can't. So that's why we encourage people to call us first before you enter into any of those types of agreements. The other thing I would say is we see a lot where people aren't really sure how to get started with their business license and some of the things that they need to have in place sort of before they get to that point. So making sure that they have their tax ID number, making sure that they know how their business is going to be structured, which I think are some different things that will be talked about later on. But we try to make sure that we get people in a good place so they know exactly what they need to submit to the respective commissioner of the revenues office and get their business license appropriately.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate your time and all the support that you and the localities give to Start Peninsula. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up, we have Mike Loving from Patent Portfolio Builders. This is one of these issues where it's like, when is the right time to talk to somebody about protecting your idea, making sure that you have all the right pieces and processes put in place. And Mike and Patent Portfolio Builders have been longtime supporters of what we're doing at Start Peninsula. And they're straight shooters. Everybody on the panels today are folks that they have been vetted. We trust them. They have your best interest in mind. Mike is no different. If you have any questions throughout these different presentations, use the Q&A, and then we'll get those to the right people. But without further ado, Mike, I welcome you to meet the resources, and let's learn a thing or two about IP and patents.
Let's do it. Thank you, Tim. Just want to say thank you for putting this on, and everyone out there in the audience, thank you for joining us. And just want to let everybody know I've worked with many of the people who you'll be hearing from today, and a lot of the accelerators and just many of the people. I want to say you couldn't be in better hands. It's an amazing panel, and please reach out to them. They're amazing for what they can do for you. To tell you a little bit about Patent Portfolio Builders, we're an intellectual property law firm, so we can help you with your patents, trademark licensing, things of that nature. We work with big companies. Google's one of our clients and other Fortune 500 companies, but we love working with startups, and that's why we're here today and what we really enjoy doing. I've been fortunate enough for the last 5 years to be a part of the 757 region, working with amazing founders and helping you guys in the organizations down there. We come from a place of education. Here, we are always about educating the startups. We know you wear many hats and it's hard for you to have knowledge in everything. So what we want to do is what we do with a lot of the organizations is we do free webinars, free presentations to help teach you about IP. We also offer free office hours, free consultations for startups to help you get a better understanding of what you need in that roadmap for your IP. Some of the things that are important to remember, just give you a quick hit or two that we always see is disclosure. Be very careful when you're pitching, when you're talking to someone, to not really give away your secret sauce. A lot of people don't realize once you have a public disclosure or start selling something, you basically have a 1-year ticking clock on when you can actually file for a patent. We've had clients come to us a couple years later, and after they gave a presentation 2 years ago or wrote in a journal or did something, and they lose their patent rights. So that's one of the things we really stress, is just to make sure you don't hit one of those roadblocks or landmines to make you lose your IP rights before you can even decide if you want those. Also, we offer the free consultations because we know a lot of people want to speak to investors, and sometimes whether IP is right for you or not, it's nice if an investor asks you that you can say, hey, yeah, we did our due diligence. We talked to patent portfolio builders or whoever for 30, 45 minutes, and we came away that our money was better spent in marketing, or we didn't have something that was patentable. So to be able to tell that story to investors, at least you already had that talk. What we also want to do for you is when you talk to us, we're going to make sure what you have is patentable or if it's not. After that, we're going to ask you questions, and something to think about is, what do you really want to get out of your IP? What's the value? How can we help max that value? Do you want it for defensive reasons? Do you want it to maybe license to a larger company? So for us, it's not just about writing a patent for you. It's about giving you the tools, the understanding, the knowledge to then maximize the value of that patent and use it in the ways that you want to use it. So you don't make that investment and that patent just sits on a wall and is no longer an asset for your company. Same with trademarks. Sometimes for people, when they have a brand, you're building a brand, you may not have a patent, but you may need a trademark. You may want to protect that brand, or you may not want to infringe on someone else's brand, build this whole beautiful brand and find out someone else already has it. So a quick trademark search, which you can do on your own, or you can talk to us with a free consultation to help you better understand those aspects. Also, as an IP law firm, while we do everything I mentioned, we also are here to help you in other ways. As I say, you're going to know most of the contacts who I would introduce you to from the panelists today, but a lot of our clients come to us and they're missing other pieces. Hey, do you have someone that can help us here do this? And we're happy to send you to the right people. But as I said, you're going to meet most of those people today. Also, as far as us, not just a patent, but with us, if we work with a lot of demanders of technology through our 25 plus years, experience. And if we can see a fit for you that we can plug you into the right person to maybe make a deal or make a sale, we're always happy to open up our Rolodex to help our clients in other regions and other areas. So to wrap it up, if you ever have any questions about intellectual property, IP, trademarks, please feel free to reach out. You can go to our website, pbblaw.com, where we have presentations we've done in the past for many of the groups here where you can watch the webinar. We have downloadable documents to help you better understand trademarks, our invention disclosure forms so you can better think about your IP. And as I said, we're happy to help. We're laid back lawyers. We always joke around, if you want us to wear a suit, we charge extra for that. So that's no problem. So we're very easy, laid back to talk to. So we're always happy to answer any questions you have. We're here to help. We want to make sure you're protected and safe, and don't do things now that could hinder your opportunities to get IP in the future. So feel free to reach out to me by email, and I'm always happy to help. So thank you again, Tim, for putting this on.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. What do you see as the most common mistake that the founders make?
I think the two things that to kind of highlight is they don't know what can make them lose their IP rights, right? They're going out there and maybe pitch competition, they're giving too much secret sauce away, or they're writing an article about what the secret sauce is. What we try to do is, if you have a talk with an IP attorney early enough, we can help identify what it is that is patentable, right? Because not everything in your idea will be patentable. There'll only be a small section of it. And we can identify that and say, hey, talk about 90% of this, but this 10%, this 5%, this is where you want to be careful and make sure you don't full disclose this part. So we can help people kind of tell that story without giving away what they shouldn't give away, and start that ticking time bomb on the disclosure. The second thing is some people come to us and they want a patent, and because patents sound cool, they sound great, but we want to ask them, why do you really want this? Because if you're just getting it to hang the thing from the patent office on the wall saying you got a patent, well, it's a decent investment for IP. So we want to make sure you fully understand if there is value in getting a patent, and then how you want to extrapolate that value over the life cycle of the patent. Because you're going to get 20 years to extrapolate the life value. Now, do we want a license? Do you want it just defensive? Do you want to try to form a partnership? It's key to know your why and then your how to execute when it comes to IP. So we try to drill down and make sure you're getting it for the right reasons, or reasons that are going to add value before you spend that money.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I appreciate that. In terms of, so if someone, is that part of the initial consultation with you saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking about patenting? And then your answer is, okay, got it. This is the stuff that you need to protect and you shouldn't be sharing out with others. Is that part of the consultation? Then when the time is right, then they contact you and then you can go down the patent road, so to speak?
I'm glad you asked that because it covers a wide range, and I hate to give the lawyer answer, it depends, but it does, depending on how far along the IP is developed or how far along the company is, right? So it can be everything from, hey, look at this, what you have is patentable. Do due diligence and protect this piece, and when you're ready funding wise or ready maturity wise or want to talk later, we're here for you. It could be straight up 5 minutes. We look at you and say, what you have is not patentable. We don't feel comfortable writing a patent. You have about a 1% chance of getting this through the patent office. We're happy to do it for you, but we're going to lay out what your percentages kind of are. It could be tough. Second thing is, a lot of startups we talk to, yes, you have something that's patentable. They're very interested. Then we ask them their why. They're not sure yet. So we say, okay, that's great. Take our invention disclosure form, or here are some questions to think about. Now, when you're ready, hey, we'll do another consultation with you for free because you didn't have all the bits and pieces. So it kind of goes in process. It all kind of depends on where the startup or the founder is in their knowledge and where they are in their life cycle. But, you know, if we talk and you do have something that's patentable, but you're not ready yet, or you need to think a little bit more on it, we're happy to talk again and on a follow-up for free as well, before we make sure you're fully comfortable with moving forward and know everything you need to know.
Awesome. What's your take, or what's your advice on IP assignments?
In the regard of,
so you meet somebody, you're a founder, you meet someone, you guys want to, or guys or gals want to join together, have forces.
oh, okay, yeah. Who gets assigned what? Well, this is something that one of our attorneys can really tell you about, but we get this all the time. In a business, you always want to make sure that when you start and you have founders, you have partners, or you're bringing on subcontractors to work on a project, you want to make sure you have the IP agreements in place of who owns what. The last thing you want to do is you're a group of 4 people doing a founder together, doing a project together, and all of a sudden one guy just can't get along with the other 3 and wants to leave. Now, who owns what? If you take time ahead of time to identify who owns what, and typically to make it easier, you just assign the rights of the IP to the company. So that way, if someone leaves, the company owns the IP rights, and you're not fighting over who has what piece. And also, when you have contractors coming on to do work for you, make sure that you are wrapping up your IP tight so they can't steal it. Or if they develop something while they're working for you, whatever they develop, make sure that contract says those IP rights come to your company. The subcontractor that you're hiring to do a piece for you doesn't own it. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is another big downfall. Before you do IP, make sure you have the agreements in place, who owns what. And typically people like to assign the IP rights to the company, the entity, not to individuals.
Right. And to include,
also,
if you're doing work on if you still have a day job and you're doing work on the company computer, yeah, that's a no-no as well. You need to make sure that you're doing that stuff off hours on your own personal computer, and just keep everything clean, right?
100%. And like we always say, I mean, that's why your question was, when do you talk to an IP attorney? And I always say, since we offer free consultations, the sooner the better. Because if you talk too early, I mean, you never know what you could mess up without knowing you're messing up later down the road. So I think it's always best, especially as I said, we offer free consultations. It's best to talk early to make sure you have those contracts in plan, that game plan in place, and you're not disclosing things you shouldn't disclose. So I don't think it's ever too early to talk about IP, because if you talk to us and it is, when we say, let's circle back in 3 or 4 months and let's have a further conversation when you're down the road, but at least we can give you a roadmap to not hit a landmine, so to speak.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. Appreciate your
Tim.
time and all the support that you give all the founders. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mike. So we have a little taste of economic development. We have an idea in terms of what it is that you need to know or what you don't know in regards to IP and patents. Now you want to surround yourself with some other people. You're looking at some space, and 757 Startup Studios is that place that you can start kicking the tires and surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And the person behind that is Hunter Walsh, and he runs the Startup Studios. Take it away, Hunter.
Thanks so much, Tim. Happy Friday, everyone. Like Tim said, my name is Hunter Walsh, and I am the director of 757 Startup Studios, part of the 757 CoLab Innovation Network that includes 757 Angels and 757 Accelerate. At 757 Startup Studios, we are hyper-focused on reducing obstacles and barriers for early stage growth-minded entrepreneurs across all industries by providing rent-free tenancy in a world-class innovation hub called Assembly, located in the heart of downtown Norfolk, surrounding you with subject matter experts to help you validate or invalidate your idea, hopefully validate and scale that as fast as possible so you can start generating revenue and fulfilling and executing your mission or why. We also have office hours with accountants, attorneys, surround you and connect you with other individuals that are at the same stage or step that you are, while leveraging our almost 300-person mentorship network. So all that without asking you to pay for anything or taking any ownership or equity in your idea. Since 2021, we have incubated over 100 early stage companies. Very excited that those companies have generated millions of dollars in revenue, raised millions of dollars in capital, and have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars of non-dilutive grants. So if anyone has any questions, thinks that you might have an idea or want to take advantage of our offerings, you can learn more on our website, 757startupstudios.org. Follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook, and anyone is welcome to reach out to me directly. My email is hunter@757startupstudios.org, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Hunter Walsh. There shouldn't be too many of them around, especially in the Hampton Roads area. So always love this. Thanks so much, Tim, and happy to take any questions.
Yeah, so how many times a year do you accept applications for the program?
Currently twice a year. We are working to hopefully move towards rolling monthly admissions. So when a founder meets our minimum criteria, which is very transparent on our website, then they can start the next month. We are not there yet. So to answer your question, the next batch of founders will be moving in at the top of the year, early January 2024.
And is it a general, there's not a certain specific vertical that you all are focused on. This is open to all early stage founders?
That is correct. So we are industry agnostic, have worked with over 30 different industries to date, constantly adding new industries as new ideas and ways to slice and dice the pie are coming out. That's one of the cool things working with such early stage, that it's on the very cutting edge of innovation.
Awesome. And this is so we do have a question from the audience, and it's just, so it's free. Yeah, what's the catch? Yeah, anything that sounds too good to be true, what's the story behind that?
That is the most frequently asked question that we get after running through sort of everything that we provide. Frankly, the catch is that it's incumbent upon you to take advantage of the offering. So the requirements of the program, you have to be physically present in the office at Assembly 10 times a month, attend 5 programs, check in and meet with me monthly, as well as meet with mentors. So if you are not meeting the minimum criteria, that is really the only way that you can sort of get kicked out of the program there. So the only catch is make the most of the opportunity, lean in and be like a sponge and absorb as much information, meet as many people as you possibly can, just like all of the incredible resources and assets that are a part of this Meet the Resource panel, that all of us are saying it, but we legitimately just want to help you, and realize that that is going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. We take a very kind of humanized approach, getting to know you and kind of why you started that idea, while really taking a holistic mindset of giving you all of the tools to be able to go out, realizing that typically it's not your first idea that is quote unquote the one or the successful one. And we try to provide that roadmap, widen and strengthen the foundation so you can accelerate the time and hopefully capital that it takes to invalidate ideas until you find ultimately the one.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of the financial aspect, you're able to offer this for free because of Go Virginia grant and a couple other grants that helps pay for this so that you can offer that space for free, right?
We are a nonprofit, yes. So we are reliant on grants like many nonprofits on the call, as well as corporate sponsors. So very appreciative that through grants and corporate sponsors, we are able to go out and offer all of this at absolutely no cost, no strings attached to any of the entrepreneurs that we reach, as well as being able to facilitate community events and programming at no cost that are free and open to the general public as well throughout the year.
And we have one more question. How is it with founders that are still working full time in terms of working after hours and the resources available? What do you have to say about that?
Great question. The majority of our founders have full-time jobs and have other sources of revenue outside of their idea. One of the cool things about our office is that you have 24/7 access. So we have many founders or teams that work in the evenings. They come in on weekends that we try to facilitate as much of our programming and make that available in a virtual format, as well as record that and share it with you after the fact. So if you aren't able to participate live in person, you still don't miss out on the content and resources that are being shared. So we've had folks that have 9-to-5s that have been able to meet the minimum requirements that still are making tremendous progress and showing great traction on their startup idea. So that's actually, I would say, where the majority of the entrepreneurs that we are privileged enough to serve have some sort of more regular job outside of pursuing this passion and idea that they have.
Awesome. Well, Hunter, I appreciate you and all that you do for the community. You have great stuff going on there, and can't thank you enough.
Thanks so much, Tim. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So as we go down this journey of entrepreneurship, you're in startup studios, for example. You feel like you're on to something. Then the next big thing is about customer discovery, answering the right questions. And there's no better place to do that than through the ICAP program. And here today to talk to us about ICAP is Marty Kaszubowski. So Marty, over to you.
Hey guys, thank you very much for having me. Hi Tim, good to see you. And by the way, it is, as sort of the old guy in the group, it's always nice to see the amazing array of resources we have now in the region. It's just really good to see, and I appreciate you guys having us. So yeah, I'm going to talk about ICAP, which is my latest gig. Tim knows that I've had a few jobs over the years doing this stuff, and this is maybe not the capstone of my career just yet, but it's nice to be in the opportunity to work with these guys. What ICAP is again a state-funded program. We're free. We are demanding as can be, but we're free. We're paid for by a number of sources, which I'll get to here later in my talk here. What we do, though, is we are very, very, very much focused on a mentor-driven model where we help from the very beginning of the idea stage to well later into the process where you're starting to scale up, growing, building your team, and raising money. So we have what we call stage one, which is that ideation and business model verification, and a lot of work done just understanding your customer segmentation and does somebody out there really want the thing that you hope to sell, which is a really important thing. And then where I get involved, for example, is this later stage two, where you're starting to grow, we're starting to look for some money and so on. So that's my role in this process. But the message here really is that we're with you for the whole trip. as long as you'll have us and as long as you'll keep doing the work. We want to continue to help. We also do a lot of work in building a community around ICAP. So much like what Hunter just described with the startup studios and such, we bring people from all over the Commonwealth into a community where not only are you learning from mentors and from experts, but sometimes you're learning from each other. It's hard to overestimate the value of that peer mentoring sometimes. So bringing people into this kind of a community is a really, really important part of what we do. We also partner in ways that a lot of other organizations haven't over the years. We are pretty active in connecting with every accelerator, every incubator, every innovation center, every angel group, every venture capital seed funding source that we can find, trying to add value where we can without duplicating the good things that they already do. So for example, we do a ton of work with startup studios and 757 Accelerate, where we can add value that others maybe don't. And again, we do that because we have a consistent methodology that we've used over the years. We're very focused on what each individual client needs at any given moment, and then a lot of activity about how we reach out to the other folks in the Commonwealth. And again, because many of us mentors have been around the community for a very long time, longer than I care to say sometimes, we know a lot of people, and we're never more than a few degrees of separation from almost any resource that you might want to get to. We are associated with the SBDC, and I know Jolie's going to be talking next, and she'll tell you all about that. And we do have an affiliation with George Mason, although I don't personally spend a lot of time up there. I'm based here in Hampton Roads, and more to the point, we have relationships with all the universities around the Commonwealth as well for when that comes up as a resource to be tapped. ICAP goes back to the pre-COVID. We started this thing kind of in-person activities. When COVID came along, we went all virtual, as you can imagine, and have stayed that way pretty much since. We do what we call the introductory course 6 times a year, and we have guest speakers. We have a lot of work again on the community. In fact, on Monday evening, we have our monthly community call, and if anybody's interested in being involved in that, we can get you some information on that. As I noted earlier, we are funded by a number of Virginia sources, who I will thank later on. It's always good to thank your sponsors. And more recently, we've spent a much greater amount of time thinking how we can be continually relevant even beyond where we've been in the past. So even after people start to raise money as they're building their team, forming partnerships, we're hoping we can create a thing called Stage 2, which will be a bigger part of that. What do we actually do? Much of what I end up doing, oddly enough, is that initial assessment where you come to me and you say, what can ICAP do to help? And I spend an hour with you, much like Mike Loving does with his clients, just to understand who you are, where your business is headed. We won't tell you if you have a good idea or not. We'll let the market tell you that, but we want to get you into the part of the program that really makes the most sense for you. Again, later on, when it comes time to scale, to raise money, we're right there. Again, the message here is that we're with you along the whole path if you need us. As I indicated earlier, we are free, but we are demanding. And we have a number of folks who, if you will, wash out of the program simply because they're not giving the effort that we think is necessary to be successful. And we're not shy about telling you about that. But as long as you're willing to do the work, we're willing to help, and we love doing this kind of stuff. So that startup journey really, like I said, starts with customer validation. I won't go through all the details here, although I could, to validating your model, to getting that early traction, to getting into a position where you're going to start growing and raising money. And again, the overriding message in all of this is that we're here for the whole path, and please look to us to help. It's been pretty successful. Everybody, I think, likes these kind of numbers. I'm always a little skeptical, but these are actually pretty good numbers. And I will point out one thing, that where it says 1,123 clients served, that's a real number. That does not mean that there are 1,123 businesses out there, because as both Hunter and Mike both mentioned earlier, sometimes the right answer is to not quit your day job, to not continue with what you're doing, because the market has told you that the thing you're imagining is of value really isn't of value. So a big part of this process is to work with those clients as early as we can get them and help them understand should they continue down this path. And if they do, we're with you the whole way. I won't bore you with many of the other details. I know, again, that Jolie's going to come in and talk about SBDC network a little bit. The last thing I'll mention is, you know what, we are here. We want to be the most connected resource in the Commonwealth of Virginia and beyond. As it happens, we have folks in Maryland and North Carolina who help us with some of our resources as well. So we just want to be as connected as we can be. We want to help in every way we possibly can. We love doing this stuff. All of our mentors, and there are I think over 40 of us now, we're experienced folks. We don't need to do this. We like to do this, and we're here to help you guys. So I'll leave it with that. I will point out that we do have a lot of funding sources. Thank you to our sponsors. And I'll leave this up a little bit while we're asked for questions, in case you want to go to the website, in case you want to find myself and Josh. So Tim, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marty. And one of the things I want to point out to folks that have participated in Start Peninsula, whether as a viewer or someone that pitched, you may recognize Marty as one of the judges. Thank you for your support from the judging aspect. But we do purposely select the judges that we have so that they have visibility on what it is that you're doing, what your ideas are, and it just makes the process much, much easier to plug you in to the rest of the bigger system, if you will, to help with that entrepreneurial journey. So thank you for the support that you provide from a judging aspect.
And thanks for saying that, because we look for it the same way. I mean, every single time you do one of your Start Peninsula events, we compare notes with, are these folks in ICAP already? Who else can we connect them to? Where are they along their path? How do we find the best mentor, the best resources for those guys? Even if they never become an ICAP client, that's fine. But we want to be able to help them in every way possible. And plus, I like doing it. And I also want to note that Tim can be pretty brutal in cutting off the startup speakers when they're presenting. I appreciate him not being quite as brutal with us.
I put on my velvet gloves before we kicked off this webinar. And one of the things that you all have different people that go through ICAP, you have different types of mentors that specialize in different verticals, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And again, we're all pretty experienced folks. And I mean, for example, I'm an aerospace engineer. Most of what I end up doing work with is crunchy technologies, unmanned systems, some AI, some machine learning, rockets, devices. I do a ton with water purification and such. But then we have folks who are specialized in online marketplaces and people who are really experts in B2B software. So we can not only reach into resources in terms of other organizations, but also just within our group, we have a lot of expertise in almost anything that anybody can come up with.
Well, awesome, Marty. I can't thank you enough for all the support that you provide, and I look forward to seeing you. I think as a judge is the next micro pitch event. So I look forward to seeing you then.
Claws, yes.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, next up, we have the Small Business Development Center. So again, as we're going through this entrepreneurial journey, you go through ICAP. Perhaps you're done with that program, or you have some questions along the way. The SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is a great resource for you to turn to. And talking to us today about the Small Business Development Center, we have Jolie Spiers. So Jolie, I'll turn the microphone over to you.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Andrew, and everyone else. Nice to see y'all this Friday afternoon, morning, still morning. So the SBDC, Hampton Roads Small Business Development Center, we're part of actually a network throughout the Commonwealth. So there is Virginia's SBDC, and Marty mentioned George Mason earlier. Through Virginia's SBDC at George Mason, there is funding that flows from the SBA to SBDC centers across the Commonwealth. In Hampton Roads, we serve the 18 localities that are Williamsburg, the whole peninsula, the whole south side, and the 2 counties on the eastern shore. So we've got a really broad service area. And even though we're part of Virginia's SBDC, we're a separate 501c6, and we have a local host, which is the Hampton Roads Chamber. So we're really appreciative of that support. We also have offices on the peninsula at Virginia Peninsula Community College. And what that means is that we're available to help businesses at all stages. So we see a lot of folks who are kind of in an ideation phase, right? They have a great sauce recipe that was their grandma's, and they think like, everybody comes over and loves this sauce. What would it be like to turn this into the next ragu? Or folks who have been in business for 5-10 years, right? Maybe they're ready to purchase a building, open a second location, grow into an international market. Folks who have been in business for 20 or 30 years, and now they're ready to think about what's next. So we can help them with evaluating their business and also thinking about an exit strategy. So just like Marty said, you never really leave ICAP. You don't ever really have to leave the SBDC either, because we've got resources to help you at every stage. And because of that funding that we receive from the SBA and also the 18 localities that we serve, we're able to offer those resources to the businesses that we work with at no charge. We're not quite as demanding as ICAP, but we do want to make sure that as we're helping businesses, we really are helping you. We're giving you the tools and the skills that you need to move forward, so you don't just spin with an idea or just spin not making the revenue perhaps that your business is capable of doing. Because we're, again, part of the SBDC network across the Commonwealth, we plug folks into special programs like ICAP. If you're technology, high growth businesses, we've got another team that works around craft beverage, a team that works around international trade, and we're also able to plug folks into PTAC who come under the George Mason umbrella, George Mason umbrella too. So PTAC for government contracting, particularly at the federal level. What am I missing, Tim? You know quite a bit about the SBDC.
Yeah, what's the best way if someone wants to set up an appointment to meet with a counselor?
Yeah, sure. So thank you. That's a good point. We run some programming, but really the bulk of what we do is our one-on-one advising with clients. And if you'd like an advising appointment, or you'd just like to learn a little bit more about the SBDC, you can go to our website, which is hrsbdc.com. And that will give you the link where you can connect with us for advising, also our phone number, so that you can call and chat a little bit more with someone on our team to just get a better understanding of how we may be able to be a resource. I think something that everyone on this call does, and that we do too, is make sure that our clients are connected to the broader ecosystems that are supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses in Hampton Roads. So, if you are ready to find that community and you want to be in a physical space, Startup Studios might be a great referral, right? If you're ready to do a pitch competition, we want to make sure that you know about Start Peninsula. Black Brand runs a ton of programming. And so, they just had someone the other day speaking about how to get into Walmart and some of the national chain retailers. So we would make sure that our clients are aware that that programming is available. There's no conflict of interest in working with any of us and working with some of us at the same time, right? You can come and meet with the SBDC, get some resources for us, maybe go through the ICAP Accelerator, go through Startup Studios or 757 Accelerate, go through Black Brand's B-Force Accelerator, and we're right there on the other side when you want to touch base again or need a different type of resource. So it's great to be part of such a larger community that is helping folks pretty much at every stage and every type of business. We've got a lot of tech resources on this call, but there's also ecosystems around home-based businesses, part-time businesses, Main Street businesses. We want to make sure that you're connected to your local economic development offices so that you know what resources and some occasionally even funding is available from the locality that you're in or that your business may be in.
And the great thing too about plugging your clients into the system, so to speak, there is confidentiality involved with what it is that you talk about with your counselors, right?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, we take our confidentiality so seriously that it's almost like working with a doctor, right? Like I can't tell anyone that you are an SBDC client unless you give me a release to do so. So I might even want to be bragging about you and talking about these awesome businesses that we're working with. But if I don't get a release, I'm not going to be able to do that. And so we do ask for releases, again, so we can brag about you, we can champion the work that you're doing, but also to make important connections and introductions. Like when you may want to work with a lender or a banker, and we can make that introduction or referral for you. We want to make sure that we get a release so that we can do that.
Yeah, because you all have some really experienced counselors, especially like helping businesses set up their financial model, making sure that all their financials are in place so that when you go
Yeah.
talk to that banker, that everything is set and ready to go.
Tim, I just need you to like tee me up wherever I go, please. So we just received a grant from Truist. Access to capital is a really important component of the work that we do with small businesses and entrepreneurs. We want you to understand what it's going to take to get funding for your business. We want you to understand that in many cases, especially if you're not going the VC route, there's a lot of owner capital that is required at the beginning. The majority of small businesses are bootstrapping, at least for the first 1 to 2 years, until they've demonstrated proof of concept. They've got a revenue model that a lender will then be interested in. And so we want to help you understand, what are your estimated startup costs? What kind of funding is it going to take for you to get off the ground? What kind of revenue and pro formas do you need to be able to show if you want to walk into a banker or a lender's office? What will they be looking for? So in addition to that access to capital piece, we really stress how important good bookkeeping and good record keeping is, because a lender or any type of investor is going to want to see your profit and loss statements. They're going to want to see what your projected revenue is. And if you're not using good record keeping, you're doing that on the back of a napkin, or you're doing it in a wacky Excel spreadsheet that only you understand, that's not going to be as helpful to your investors. So we just received some funds from Truist. They're going to help us build out an even more robust record keeping system that we can give to our clients so that they can overlay that in their businesses.
Awesome. And I think the last thing that folks should know about that is the number of events that are hosted by the statewide SBDC system. There's just a ton of stuff going on.
Yeah, and Innovate and Start will do a great job of helping us get those programs out there. So we're so fortunate to be part of this larger statewide network. And if you Google just Virginia SBDC events, like the Hampton Roads SBDC, there's about 20 other centers across the Commonwealth that are doing programming but probably before COVID, you would have had to show up at James Madison University or at the Mary Baldwin office or the Longwood office or in Richmond, at the chamber where they were hosted. You'd have to be in person to access these amazing workshops. Well, COVID turned everything virtual, and a lot of those workshops for Virginia's SBDC have continued to be virtual. So on any given week, there's something about what you should know about IP. There's a Canva 101 to help you with your marketing assets. There might be a QuickBooks 101. There's going to be an access to capital program, digital marketing, e-commerce. We've got lots of different topics. Any given week, there's going to be a webinar. Most of them are at no charge. Some of them, our advising is always at no charge. Sometimes there's a nominal fee for some of our programming, but again, that's going to be like a $10 or $15 investment.
Well, thank you so much, Jolie. Appreciate all that you do and all the support that you provide the community. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, and thanks to you and Innovate for helping us have a broader reach. So thanks, Tim.
Thank you. And so as we progress through this journey, as Jolie had talked about, she had mentioned the word accelerator. So at this point, we hopefully have pinpointed the problem that you all are solving. We've identified some customers. We're getting everything in order and ready to go. And the next step may be that of an accelerator. And so now we're gonna go down accelerator lane, so to speak. And the first we're gonna have Sam talking to us about Black Brand. Black Brand is doing amazing things, right? They're really just taking the region by storm with all the different programming and what they offer. With that said, Sam, I am going to pass the microphone over to you so that you can talk about Black Brand.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tim. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Caballero. I am a program manager here at Black Brand. Black Brand is the Hampton Roads Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. So we are here to support all 7 cities across Hampton Roads and assisting Black and Brown entrepreneurs and professionals to either excel in their career or infuse them with resources to grow and scale their business. Traditionally, we find that a lot of minority entrepreneurs lack the resources in order to scale. They lack the resources in order to sustain their ideas and grow in their career. So our goal is to make sure that never happens again. We are connected to a wealth of the ecosystems that you've met today and the organizations that exist to ensure that you are not working alone. A lot of us start as solopreneurs, but in the various programs that we offer here at Black Brand, we never want you to be a solopreneur again. You will have a team, you will have business coaches and consultants that work hand in hand with you because we want to see you succeed. And we do understand that as a lot of us who grow up, who start businesses by ourselves, we are usually first-gen business owners. So we don't have the expertise and we don't have people that we can lean on necessarily for insight. And so that's where we come in and we try to walk you through this process of either getting that business off the ground, growing in your career field, or scaling that industry so that you can get the capital that you need to really grow and create the vision that you want. So in terms of accelerator programs, we have our B-Force Accelerator, which is a 12-week business development program that is focused on helping businesses grow and scale. The goal of our program is to get you capital. We do that through getting you connected to pitch events, to lenders, to grant opportunities that are currently happening in the area. Almost every single one of our workshops that we host almost 14 different workshops, 24, we have 12 weeks, but we do 2 workshops a week. So it's about 24 different workshops that you're going to. Almost each one, we're connecting you with some sort of lender. We have grants and loan applications that you can get access to. We have bankers that walk into the room and tell you exactly how to get funding, tell you about promotions and opportunities that are existing right now that you can apply for. And maybe if you're not ready to get a loan or you're not ready and you don't know what your plan is to utilize that money for the grant, we also have resources to help you. So the goal of B-Force Accelerator is to make sure that you leave this cohort with a full-fledged business plan, with all of your pro forma documents. You have a 5-year financial projection to sit down and show a banker, this is what I'm looking to do with my business, and this is how we are going to grow. Not only do we pair you with your own lead consultant to walk you through the program and assist you with accomplishing these deliverables, we also have a plethora of specialty consultants from lawyers, contract lawyers, trademark lawyers, CPAs, graphic designers. We can help you create a pitch deck. We have specialty consultants that work with you to get you in government contracting. And even if you don't have the credit to get a loan, we have people who can work on your credit. We have credit repair programs that we partner with to assist you. And while this may sound wonderful, you may be thinking, how much is this going to cost? This program is absolutely free. If you are a Black or Brown business owner here in Hampton Roads, we have multiple cohorts that run throughout the year, and we are looking for you to apply. Currently, we have our Hampton Roads cohort applications, which are open, and you can apply right on our website, blackbrand.biz. And all you need to know is that in order to qualify for B-Force Accelerator, your business has to be at least 2 years old, registered, legally existing for 2 years. You have to make less than $2 million, be committed to the program, and looking to access capital. It is a phenomenal program. I have gone through it myself as a business owner, and I'm telling you the impact that we are creating, helping to connect business owners, but not just resources that Black Brand has, but tell you about other organizations that you've heard here today on the call, that they exist and they exist here for you. And many of them, as you heard, low cost or free. So that is B-Force Accelerator. Along with B-Force, we also have a preliminary program for people who maybe aren't ready for an accelerator. They are new to business, or they are just trying to understand, is entrepreneurship really for them? This program is called the Surge Community Business Academy. It is also a 12-week program that will exist in Newport News. The goal of this program is to teach new or aspiring business owners how to start a business and how to grow their business idea. We're here to teach you business fundamentals because, as we all know, a lot of people start businesses because they love their idea, but they're not necessarily sure if that idea is profitable. We want you to invest your time and money into profitable businesses, and that's what our program is here for. The last program that I'm going to speak about is our Impact Collective. It is a 12-week program specifically for nonprofits. If you are a Black brand member and you have a nonprofit and you are looking to level up that nonprofit, work on your budget, work on your vision for your nonprofit, and also get connected with how to improve your messaging, how to improve your financials, we have trainings and consultants that also come in to work with you. So those are just 3 of 6 programs that Black Brand offers. We are also a nonprofit that is funded by a lot of organizations here in Hampton Roads. We have some funders such as Truist, Bank of America, Dominion Energy, Fulton Bank, and Centera. And so we're just grateful for the opportunity to speak here today, let you all know that we exist. And if you are interested, you are curious about how you can get connected to us, please feel free to stop by our office. We're right here in downtown Norfolk, 520 East Main Street, Suite 4. There is someone here Monday through Friday, or visit our website at blackbrand.biz.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sam. And you all have, can you touch a little bit on the different events that you all have? I'm on your, on the email list, and it just seems like there is always something that is going on, whether if it's the cash mob things that happen. Can you touch on some of the other events? You mentioned so many already, but.
Yeah, so of the programs that you heard, we have numerous events, sometimes for the particular program or just Black brand memberships events in general. So as Tim was talking about our cash mob, for each cohort that we have a cash mob event where we patronize a Black business and commit to spending at least $20. And so we come there, we purchase, whether it's food. One of our recent ones, we went to the one and only Black owned skate shop here in Hampton Roads to patronize that business. Sometimes we hold them at the venue's location. We'll have them here at the office. We have monthly networking events where you can come called Velocity, where we sometimes will have speakers. We have membership breakfasts. One of our biggest events that we actually throw is coming up in November. It's called Black Diamond Weekend. It is our huge Black business conference. It is a 3-day event full of amazing speakers, a graduation. We have amazing shows. We just try to keep the community connected to make sure that nobody is separate, because sometimes in Hampton Roads, it feels like if you don't know the right person, then you're missing out. But you cannot miss out if you are connected. It's just impossible, as you've heard here today.
Well, I love everything that Black Brand is doing, and I've been fortunate enough to teach a couple pitch classes. I think for the most of the cohorts that have gone through the last several cohorts, and the energy is amazing. It is just it's super special. Love everything that's going on, and I can't thank you enough for supporting us today and sharing what's going on with Black Brand.
Thanks so much, Tim. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And next up on the accelerator front, we have 757 Accelerate. We heard a little bit from Hunter talking about 757 Startup Studios, everything under the 757 Collab umbrella. And as you can gather with the accelerator, and I'm not trying to steal any of Eileen's thunder, but it's a pretty competitive process. So you have to have everything set and ready to go. There was over 150 people that applied to the most recent 757 Accelerate cohort. So the competition is getting a little bit more steep, if you will. And to talk to us about 757 Accelerate is Eileen Brewer. Eileen.
Hi. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for the opportunity. Hello to everybody out there. This is a great program. I really appreciate how you've developed it in the order that you have everyone in. Thank you. So I'm Eileen Brewer. I'm with 757 Accelerate. Hunter and I sit in the same building in the same space. So the 757 Startup Studios is the physical venue, the front door to come into our ecosystem. And in that same space, we operate the 757 Accelerate program. The program is open to all startups across the nation. It is not just Virginia-based. We do put an emphasis on trying to find the best Virginia-based startups to bring into our cohorts, but you are competing again nationwide, not just in the local ecosystem. So how do you start? We so far to date, we're on cohort 6 right now. That's going to kick off on August 14. Applications have closed. As Tim just mentioned, we were able to select 7 startups out of the 150 applicants. 5 of those startups are Virginia-based and 2 of them are Florida-based. So it's a very close East Coast cohort. In these 6 cohorts, we have helped 39 companies to date, and those 39 companies have created 460 jobs, and they have raised almost $70 million in capital. So we do everything that we can to help businesses progress. And we are not looking for the early stage, we're the next step. So we put a lens on being tech focused. So we'll look a little over here and see what are the requirements to get into our program. We ask that you have, this talks about the benefits here. Let me go over the requirements first. So requirements are you have full-time founders. So you're no longer working part-time on the business. You have at least one founder that's full-time on the business, that you're willing to travel and be in the 757 in Norfolk. Our program is 12 weeks long. We ask that you're physically in our space at least the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks of the program. The 8 weeks in the middle, you're invited to be with us in person, but we do deliver the programming remotely. We ask that all businesses are innovative and disruptive and scalable solutions with really high growth potential. So what does that mean? That means that we tend to not bring in brick and mortar or Main Street businesses. We're looking for technology-based businesses, or once in a while we'll bring in non-tech if it is a tangible item that we believe will grow exponentially. In our last cohort last fall, we had Hubley Surgical, which is a medical device for brain surgery, and they're doing really well now. We also had Crunchy Hydration, which some of you may know, and they're in many of the Hampton Roads, Whole Foods and Kroger's and almost every lunch shop that you can find in the area. In this cohort, we have Mocktails, which is also local and regional and ready to go across the nation. So they're the only ones that were non-tech. The rest of them, the other 6 are very tech-focused startups. What do we provide for you? We'll give you $20,000 to each one of the startups to use as you need to grow your business. We will take no equity at all. Everything that we're giving you is at 0 cost. We will design our programming based on what you need. We will take you on a roadshow. The last 2 weeks of the program, we're going to rent a van and drive around the region and put you in the room with a bunch of investors so that you can pitch and start building your investor network. And we have access to over 200 mentors in the region that can help you with growing your business. So what does it look like? It looks like typically we will have meetings on the Tuesdays and Thursdays where we're delivering programming. And then the other days of the week, we're going to be meeting with mentors and subject matter experts, specifically with you one-on-one to learn exactly what it is that you need to grow your business or the type of experts that you need support from. So twice a week, we're delivering generic programming for everybody, go to market, HR, legal, IP, your business finances, how to build a pitch deck and getting investor ready. And then the rest of the time is very, very customized to meet your needs. So I'll open it up, see if you have any questions. Tim and others?
Yeah, question that I have is, of the companies that apply and they're not accepted, is there a trend in terms of what's the most common reason that they may not get into 757 Accelerate?
So the very first filtering that we do on the candidates is to remove those that are churches, rock bands, barbershops, landscaping businesses, consultants that are not the type of startups that we run through the program. The second thing that will happen is they're too early. So accelerators accelerate tech businesses that have customers and have revenue and are ready to grow exponentially and are ready to be introduced to investors. So if you've just left an incubator or a program that's helped you figure out your MVP, having an MVP is too early to come into an accelerator. We will make exceptions once in a while. Once in a while, we'll make exceptions if we see that it is something that we believe that we can get completely launched and generating revenue within those 12 weeks. But the majority of the time, we're looking for businesses that have customers, have revenue, and have proof of that growth month over month. That's our desired first choice.
Awesome. Question just came in. What does 2024 look like in terms of application availability and when the program would start?
So right now, for the last 5-6 years, we've been running it once a year, with the program starting in August and going for 12 weeks. So our applications are usually open in May and close by the end of May. We actually only keep our applications open 4 or 5 weeks, and we're able to generate a big pool from that. And then we spend June and July doing all of the screenings and all the interviews. So we have volunteers in the community, the mentors, the professional mentors that know us really well and know what we're looking for. They do that screening process for us. So every application gets looked at by no less than 5 screeners. And they rank them with a 5 as a high score, 1 is a low score. And then we take those collective rankings and we determine who should come in for interviews. And then we do the interviewing. We interviewed 29 companies this year in July. And again, every startup gets interviewed by no less than 4 of the mentors in the region. And then they're scored again. And then from there, we have a list of the top candidates that we should bring in. We have applied to a federal grant that we don't know about yet. If we get that grant, we will have the funding and be able to start running this cohort twice a year instead of once a year. So there is a chance that we may have a spring 2024 cohort, but we don't know yet. So follow us on social media and keep up, and you'll see it announced there if we get it.
Thank you. I am curious, what's your take, or what's the accelerator's take on companies with a co-founder? Is that something that is encouraged?
Yes. Yeah. So it's tricky, right? So yes, we prefer that you have a co-founder, but we do not prefer husband-wife teams. So yes, we'd like to see you have a co-founder. 2 or 3 co-founders is very good, because we feel like you remove the single point of failure and you bring in diverse conversations and diverse ideation and diverse skills. So when we look at co-founders, we would like the co-founders to bring in a different background than, instead of both being identical backgrounds. And then we're a little leery of husband-wife teams, because if anything happens in the household, it can really impact the business.
And what if someone was to apply and they didn't make it through the application process? Are they able to apply again? Is that encouraged?
Yes, it is. And usually, like I said, one of the main reasons that they aren't accepted is because they're too early. So we definitely encourage you to come back and apply again if you're of the tech startup ecosystem, right? So if you are a brick and mortar or rock band or landscaping business, like these ones, don't apply again. But if you are a medical device and you still have to go through some FDA clinical trials, then come back for sure. So if you're tech and you're growing, then definitely come back and apply again. Some of our people that get accepted have applied 2 or 3 times.
And I think I know the answer to this question, and they're near and dear to my heart, but what is the most successful startup to date that went through the program?
Oh my gosh. So we have SV Robotics that has been very successful. I was not here when they were in that cohort, because I've just come to town 1.5 years ago. So I tend to look at the more recent ones. I think Crunchy Hydration is doing an outstanding job with their growth, and Hubley Surgical has done very, very well.
Yeah, and I'm super proud of the SVT guys. AK Schultz,
Right.
They did have they raised 25 million in their Series A at 125 million valuation. So super proud of those guys, and that is a testament of the program. So
I think we're going to see something similar with a couple of the others as well.
Yeah, it's exciting as time continues to move on what the outcomes are. But Eileen, thank you so much. I appreciate your support and you joining us today. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Eileen. You have her email in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. So now as companies are starting to get bigger and there is more visibility, one of the things that's really unique about Virginia is the statewide, you get to the state level and it's really, last week I was fortunate enough to be part of the Virginia Accelerator Network. There was an offsite, and one of the big takeaways that I had during that was how Virginia is tackling entrepreneurship at a state level, which I think is really, really unique. We have Conaway Haskins with us, joining us from the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation. They're big supporters of what we're doing at Start Peninsula and the entire ecosystem across Hampton Roads and the state. And he is going to talk to us about how VIPC can help you from the state level. Conaway, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll let you, you have the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for being with us last week, Tim, and thanks for inviting me to do this. Good afternoon, everybody. I normally wouldn't do a slide deck for a 5-minute, but it's a lot of information to cover in a short amount of time, and I'm representing the whole of our organization, so I'll try to breeze through it as quickly but as thoroughly as possible, and then have time to do Q&A at the end. So I'm Conaway Haskins. As Tim said, I have the pleasure to be the Vice President for Entrepreneurial Ecosystems at the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, or VIPC. Some people call it VIPC, whatever you want to say makes sense to you. We are the Commonwealth's technology-based, innovation-based economic development agency. Just a little bit about our background. Our organization has been around for over 35 years. We were started originally back in 1985 as the Center for Innovative Technology. That was in the mid-'80s, as Virginia and other states were starting to wonder, like, what's this technology industry, this technology economy all about, and what can we do with it? Fast forward 30 years later, a lot of work had happened across the state, and the General Assembly and the governor at the time decided to reorganize a lot of the different technology and innovation-related economic development activities under what's called the Virginia Innovative Partnership Authority, or VIPA. And so we, as the lead organization operating the authority, initiated a rebrand of our own as well to become the Virginia Innovation Partnership Corporation, to really talk about that mission of connecting innovators, connecting entrepreneurs with opportunity. Just so you know, we focus again on the technology and innovation side, similar to how Eileen talked about the kinds of companies that 757 Accelerator is looking for. Our mission is more around that versus the bricks and mortar Main Street retail. There are other state economic development agencies that work with those companies. And so Virginia has, is trying to thread the needle and cover the range of support that companies may need. We are organizing our work primarily into 4 different divisions, and I'll briefly go into those. Our Entrepreneurial Ecosystems Division, which is the team I lead, is the new division. We were created in 2020 out of that VIPA legislation. We support the entrepreneur support organizations and the ecosystem builders. So we, Tim, Eileen, the Black brand, these are our clients, right? Our team works with those who support the founders. Our other teams work more directly with companies. Our commercialization team provides a lot of grant funding, non-equity, non-dilutive grants to really help commercialize and catalyze next generation technologies, working both with company founders, entrepreneurs, and also with university faculty who want to take, see if their research that they've done in the lab has market applicability. So that's what that team focuses on. Our investment division is what it says. It is actual equity investment activity. It's not a grants program. These are equity investments that were seed funded by the Commonwealth of Virginia, plus some other programs that have funded that as well, where we actually place investments directly in high profile, high potential startups that can generate jobs, economic return for the state. And so it's a kind of a double bottom line approach there. And we funded companies across the Commonwealth as a result. And then our 4th division, strategic initiatives, really is about our technology development employment, looking for whether those interesting, innovative new technologies being developed in Virginia that can be boosted, or technologies that are cutting edge, particularly things that can help our communities that are being developed elsewhere. Can we bring those technologies into Virginia and help our state have a competitive advantage? I'll provide copies of the slides too, so Tim and the team can distribute. Again, our team does a number of programs with the ESOs, including, as Tim mentioned, the Virginia Accelerator Network, which has grown to over a dozen organizations that are doing exactly things like this all across Virginia. And we're really happy to work with them. Our commercialization program has two main themes: the commercialization fund, which took over these other two programs, the RCF and VREF. They again are providing hundreds of grants to innovators, to researchers, to entrepreneurs to really help them move their tech projects forward. We also have, if you see on the right there, the federal funding assistance program, which helps entrepreneurs and innovators access the federal small business innovation research or small business technology transfer opportunities that a number of federal agencies participate in there. Virginia right now is number 3 in total SBIR, STTR awards each year, behind California and Massachusetts, and we want to keep growing that as well. Our investment division, again, as I said, they do, they're often Virginia's most active early stage seed venture investment program in the state among all kinds of programs, public and private. So far, the program's been around for almost 20 years. They've got under $100 million in assets under management. That's returned equity, equity returns. We've made those investments, and those investments have returned capital to our portfolio. And we subsequently, as a nonprofit, reinvest in new investments, either follow-on funding to really successful companies or new funds to new companies. You can see on the left there are a number of pre-seed funding opportunities as well as seed stage funding opportunities. The good thing about those is those numbers went up last year. It used to cap at 100K for pre-seed and 500K for seed. We've been able to bump up because we've gotten a number of new sources of funding, and so we can help with that. On the right side is a new initiative, and I'll be happy to talk more about that if you reach out, about the SSBCI program, which is federally funded. Essentially, it's going to bring about $173 million into Virginia over the next 10 years. It will be directly invested in early stage companies, particularly focusing on socially and economic disadvantaged entrepreneurs, very small startups, to really help boost the risk capital available for them. And then finally, our strategic initiatives team has those 4 main programs: the unmanned systems, public safety innovation, smart communities work, over to the test bed, and then also the smart communities program. Again, where we're helping with commercial first applications of technologies that help generate public sector efficiencies and also help deploy technology across Virginia. So I'll say, if you have, for more information, we have a robust events calendar where we keep a calendar of the events that we put on and also the events that we're participating in. So check that out. And then there's my contact information there. Feel free to reach out to me, and I can, if it's not something that my team and I work on, it's something that we can definitely direct you to the right place and right people here at VIPC.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Conaway. What is your advice in terms of the early stage founders that are watching this today? At what point is the best time to contact you in your office?
Yeah, the best point is to contact me when you think you're ready to take on an investment and when you are ready to really truly have that, or if you have a technology project that you want to work on. The other advice that we have is to work with Tim, work with Eileen, work with the others that are in the accelerator and incubator space, because they work really closely with those 2 programs and kind of have gotten a flavor. Like, I know a number of companies have gone through 757 accelerator, have gotten Commonwealth commercialization grants, and then subsequently some companies have also gotten investments coming out of 757 from our VBP program. And so I really think it's work with the ESOs in our network, but also look on our website. We put everything up there, and anytime we have those events, like particularly the coffee with the VBP, you'll see that on the calendar. That's a really great way that we provide information about our investment opportunities, but also showcase other investment opportunities, because there could be an investor that has a whole different priority and thesis that we don't, who would be perfect for a company. The other thing I'll say about investment generally, I know that the accelerators and incubators drill us into their companies, is 98% of all small companies should not seek venture investment. But for those 1 to 2% that are ready, we try to be the helpful first one in, and often will help. We may not lead a fundraising round in terms of dollar amount, but we'll often be the lead first in, right, at the tip of the spear for that company, to then signal to the bigger private funders that, hey, this company is worth taking a shot at.
A question that I have is, so you mentioned that the investment dollars went up from 100 to 200 and 500,000 to $1 million. How does that happen? Is that because there's a return on previous investments, or is it the governor, whoever's in office, increases those?
So typically, we have that fund is typically funded at about $3 million a year in the state budget. So it's not a large fund, but the investment returns have been great. So over the life of the fund, we've had about $40 million of state money put in. That fund has generated about $100 million of total return. And so it's a 2x fund. So that's just successful investments that it's made. And again, that funding gets returned to the fund and it allows us to do more that we can do. And then things like the SSBCI, that opens up, a significant tranche of money. It will tail over time. The first 3 years will be most of that funding in the first tranche will be funding that we directly invest in companies, but it's designed to put more money out into the universe to have other fund managers manage that money. But again, it's trying to bring more capital into Virginia. Virginia got a $230 million allocation from the Treasury Department that could either have been put to lending and credit support or venture capital. And the state decided that they wanted to do 75% on the VC side. And so hence we have this huge amount of money coming in that really hopefully at the end of a 10-year period, you'll see a much more robust investment ecosystem in Virginia as a result.
Wow, incredible. I learned a lot. I appreciate your time and all that you do to support our ecosystem down here in Hampton Roads. And I look forward to continuing to work with you more and more as time goes on.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tim.
Awesome. Thank you, Conaway. All right. Next up is REaKTOR. And I'll put on my other hat and I'm going to share with you a little bit about what REaKTOR is and how we can support you. So I am on the clock. We've all heard of companies like this. We all aspire to have companies that can grow as big as these companies, some of which have exceeded $1 trillion in market cap. And it's just fascinating to watch these companies go and become big. But one of the things that people may not realize is that all of those companies started in a garage. Which a lot of companies do, whether if it's a garage or a basement, they're starting somewhere, and we're changing that. And what REaKTOR's goal is that we want to create the next Amazon, Apple, or Microsoft, and it's going to take a lot of time. And what our approach is, in order to do that, is we really, if you think about your time growing up as a kid in a playground, this is where you learned a lot of different things. Some maybe not so good, but we're going to focus on the positive here. But if there was some sort of acrobatic trick, or you wanted to figure out how to do perform some sort of anything, that is where you learned how to do everything. That was a place of community when we were kids, and you would ask someone, "Hey, how did you do that?" And then they would watch you, and they would give you feedback, and then you would perfect that. Really, really special when you think about that playground aspect, and that you didn't have any fear of failure. If you messed up, then you got up, you brushed yourself off, and you did it. You tried it again and again and again until you mastered that. And that really is what REaKTOR is, and all of the other companies that you've heard for other resources that you heard from today. We're all providing those playgrounds where we're establishing that sense of community, but the stakes are a little bit bigger because we're talking about jobs. We're talking about money. A lot of times we're talking about large sums of money, and people are dependent on that to support their family, to support, to pay for the mortgage, whatever the case is. So we take it really, really serious. And what REaKTOR does in order to do that is we're creating that home to entrepreneurs. If we want that to be the place where you want to start that business, we're creating that density. Everything is about creating density, just like you widgets on a playground. You want to be able to talk to like-minded people. You want to be able to share ideas. You want to learn from mistakes that people have made. You want to share the successes to those people that are trying to figure things out. So the density is a big thing that we're creating there, and the convenience aspect. So you have your conference room, you have your place to work, you have a place where people pop in all the times at different times. We've heard this from other places that have presented today with the assistance aspect, the patent and legal aspect, we had Mike Loving that works with us here along with Start Peninsula. You are connected to the ecosystem. One of the things that that is really special about what REaKTOR is that we are a connector of the bigger ecosystem. So we are not duplicating efforts of what other organizations that you've heard from today. We are going to, you work in REaKTOR, and then we connect you to those places. You still are, you're housed in REaKTOR, but we leverage the people that have been doing it longer, perhaps better, so that we can focus on the outcome and lean on the people that do it best. But we'll help you with the sales, marketing, and accounting, raising capital. So when it comes time to, hey, I want to apply to an accelerator, it's time for me to raise capital, we can work with you to get your pitch squared away, your pitch deck squared away, whatever the case is. We leverage the resources that you need to lean on to make it possible. So the services that we provide, it really is to drive value to you. It is more than just discounted rent, because we offer so much more. And again, we leverage those partnerships with many of which that you heard today, and will continue to hear. Every business is based on your network and how you're connected to that network. In terms of the team, I am director of REaKTOR. I'm also the director of Innovate Hampton Roads and an angel investor. So I bring the history, the connections, the network, what I've done to the table and pass it on to the people that are a part of REaKTOR. We have Andrew Walston, who's behind the scenes here today as well. He's the associate director, MBA from Regent, and captain of the basketball team. Meaning that's something that's really, really important to me, because we are a team and we know how to pass the ball to one another. We can set up a layup. We do those things that to help you become successful. And we also have Rich Ancliffe on our team. He's had an extensive career with NASA. NASA is a really, really big part of what REaKTOR does, because we want to leverage technology. We want to be that concierge service for people that want to leverage NASA, the technology transfer, and products that they have and they hope to commercialize. So Rich is the guy that can go through the gates at NASA Langley and talk to the people that we need to talk to. So with that said, REaKTOR is technology focused. We really want to leverage the NASA and the technology that's available there. But in terms of what categories are we looking for, we are looking at technology as a whole. So whether you're either creating it or you're leveraging technology so your business can scale. We also have a big presence in the unmanned autonomous space, sensors, advanced manufacturing, and AI, as that is just continuing to take the world over by storm. And with that is a quick rundown of REaKTOR. If you have any questions, you have my contact information there. We are located in the National Institute of Aerospace in Hampton. There is lab space that is available. Really, really cool things that are happening there. I don't know if I can ask myself any questions. So that's kind of, we will press on to another resource that's located in Hampton, Virginia. Really, really cool resource there. And it's the Virginia Workforce Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center located at Hampton University. And I will pass it over to Jonathan Holman, who is going to share with us about what he has going on. So Jonathan, over to you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for having me and our organization as part of this event. Such great information and wonderful faces, a lot of whom I've seen in other locations and other events, and some new that I'm looking forward to getting to know in this new role. So we are the Virginia Workforce Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center, located in Hampton, Virginia, as Tim Ryan just mentioned. For short, VWIEC, because we understand the name is kind of long. So VWIEC is probably the name that you've heard of if we have come across any of the other resources that you've connected with. So I want to go ahead and share this screen and just share a couple slides and talk through. I realize the 5-minute time frame, so I want to keep this very short and brief. So the Virginia Workforce Innovation Entrepreneurship Center was established in 2020 through the Department of Education Reimagine Workforce Preparation Grant. And so funding really came through the CARES Act and the Education Stabilization Fund. And so what happened were there were eight of the most impacted states were awarded funding to help develop new skills and entrepreneurship ideals. And so we were through Virginia and Hampton University in conjunction with some of our business partners, such as Old Dominion University, were a proud recipient of one of those 8 awards, which, there were thousands of applications that were throughout the entire state of Virginia. So let me talk a little bit about, who's here and what we are. We have a motto that we've developed here: no closed doors. And so what you see here are our eligibility requirements. And if you notice, it's a pretty low bar for coming into the program, and there's a reason behind that. So what is the eligibility for coming into the VWIEC program? So we are focused on new and also existing entrepreneurs. So if you are interested in starting or expanding your business, so that's requirement number 1. Second thing is that you've been adversely affected by COVID-19. And so that is pretty much everybody. And so at this point in the process, that is the requirement to come into our program. The third thing is that you have to be either a Virginia resident or you must be a student or faculty member in a higher education institution. And so you must ask, okay, so then who is excluded from that? So that's a very good question. So the process of the VWIEC program really serves as the filter rather than the front door. But the focus of the program really is to help serve the underserved population and really see businesses transform both during and after the pandemic. The program is a limited time program. The grant was a 3-year program, and we were able to secure a no-cost extension. And so the official end of the VWIEC program is September of 2024. Just a little bit of a picture of who's here and where they are. We have around 2,800 plus participants in our program who are employing around 1,300 employees. So the reason I show this is because this was established under the Virginia Board of Workforce Development. You may ask, okay, what does entrepreneurship have to do directly under the Workforce Board? But the focus of the program is to develop from those underserved entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs, but employers. And so our heart and our vision is also to see those those businesses become employers. And my background is in, economic development and data analysis, and everybody tells me it wouldn't be one of my presentations if I didn't have a bar chart in here somewhere. So I'm going to flash a bar chart up here real quick. And show everybody just a little bit of an idea, give you a picture of who is here in our program in terms of how long they've been in business. 46% of our participants have started their business within the last 3 years. That's over the pandemic period. And so you may ask, okay, where did a lot of people go? Obviously, because we are here, we know a lot of people started their businesses within this past year or registered their business, but that's another conversation. So 70% of our entrepreneurs are currently in operation. 22% started their business over 3 years ago, but we do have a large cohort that have not declared their start date as of yet or have not established a business, but that's the early stages of our program. So really, what do we have here? We offer a holistic model in 3 phases. Our first phase is really about soft skills, really developing that self-assessment, understanding who you are as an entrepreneur, as somebody in the workforce. Is business for you? And do you have the capacity and really that drive in order to be successful in business? So that's a lot of the phase 1 self-assessment. Phase 2 really dive into business basics. It's really the academic perspective. And that's really is expected because as a higher education institution, Hampton University, which we run out of, that's what we really bring to the table, is that academic perspective. So there are a lot of programs out there, and there's always that dissonance between the academia translating into the real world perspective. But that's one of the things and the values that we really bring into this space, is that we have a strong base in the academic perspective. But then, as you've heard a lot of here in a lot of the programs that you're hearing about today, is what is that translation into the real world? From the learning of the business basics, how do you really apply that? And so we provide a good solid mesh of that foundational education background translation into the real world perspective. One of the things about the VWIEC program is that, yes, it's a free program, but on top of that, being a free program, we also provide a stipend, $3,000 broken up into the 3 phases. When you complete phase 1, you get the $500 stipend. Phase 2, $1,000. After phase 3 and completion of the program, then you're awarded a $1,500 stipend. So that is the basic overview of our program. As I mentioned, the program runs through September 2024. Our goal is to serve 3,000 participants throughout the state of Virginia. So of that 2,800, that window is coming to close, but that doesn't mean the services will stop that we are offering. And so if you are an entrepreneur and you meet those eligibility requirements and you have a desire to connect and work with our program, then go ahead and join us, www.VWIEC.org, fill out the intake application, or you can send me an email to find out any more information about who we're working with. Part of our program, what we do is once you take you through the program, then we work also to connect you with a lot of the wonderful resources that you've heard about today. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan. What you had mentioned cohorts. When is the next cohort? I may have missed that.
So with the VWIEC program, we have several cohorts that start, but once you get into the program, it's a self-paced program for the most part. And so even though you come in cohorts and sort of for the orientation purposes, once you get into the program, then it's really about how you drive through the program. We have several classes and courses that start at periodic times throughout the year, throughout the months. It's all up to you to register and involve and get yourself established through those. But we have a wonderful support team that will come alongside you to help you develop as you go along.
And do you limit those the size of do you limit the size of the cohort, or do you organize the cohorts based on the industry sector that they're in, or is it just it is what it is?
So the organization really comes on the back end of the program. As you begin to develop in your business basics, your soft skills, and you get into the third stage of the program, then we really organize you according to your industry, according to your industry track, and really help and plug you into resources by your business stage and also your industry type.
Awesome. Well, we've had several VWIEC founders pitch at Start Peninsula. Really, really impressive stuff. And I believe, didn't Ann Carroll Sauce go through VWIEC?
Yes, that was one with Tajir Lewis. So that was
Tajir's great. He's such a positive energy. I love what he's doing.
Yes, phenomenal. And I'm proud of what he's doing. He's out there training for the Olympics and doing so much more and promoted his product. And so that's the type of business that we're working with. And so everybody from restaurants to technology companies to, makeup, what have you, there's no closed doors, but the program is about building you to where you've established yourself to where you can then begin to employ others.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. And thanks for all that you're doing to support the entrepreneurs in the region and across the state.
Hey, thank you so much, Tim.
Awesome. All right. So now you've gone through this entrepreneurial journey, and you're a known entity within the community, and it's time to support one another. It's time to give back and be a more permanent part of what's going on. And we're going to round everything out with the Virginia Peninsula Chamber. And Bob McKenna is with us, who is the president and CEO. Bob, take it away.
Okay, so thanks for explaining why you saved me for last, Tim, because it certainly wasn't an idea that you were saving the best for last. So I'm kind of intimidated by all the great presentations I already saw, and overwhelmed by the information. There's so many great resources out there. So I'm very proud to take part in this, and I need to get in touch with some of these other resources for the small business series that you and I and others have been talking about. So thanks for bringing this all together. As Tim said, my name is Bob McKenna. I am the president and CEO of the Virginia Peninsula Chamber. We are in a new location now. We were in Hampton for many years, and for the last 17 off of Enterprise Parkway, and now we are in City Center in Newport News. We're a membership organization, 501c6. Our members include everything from small home-based businesses all the way up to the largest industrial employer in the state of Virginia, also known as Newport News Shipbuilding. And we have a 4-person staff, a couple of part-timers, and actually 3 full-timers, 3 part-timers. We do 100 events per year. So we're kind of busy, and we're not nearly as focused as some of these other resources, because we try to bring value to many different types of businesses, many different sectors, obviously many different sizes, and we serve Newport News, Hampton, Pocosin, York County, and a little bit of James City County, although the Waynesburg Chamber takes care of a lot of the businesses up in James City County. But so our mission, our formal mission statement is that we are a catalyst for business growth on the Virginia Peninsula and a collaborative partner for economic development within the region. I would make that a little more informal and just say that our mission is to work with many different community partners, including many of the resources that you just heard from, to help create conditions conducive to economic growth. We do that in many ways, but the thing that I always like to, because it's easy for me to remember, is I talk about the 5 C's. So we are a connector of individuals and of organizations and businesses. We are a convener of initiatives. So we convene meetings to bring people together who are working kind of in a similar area on similar things, but maybe haven't met before, to work together, to pull together in the same direction. So we are a conduit of information. So we provide critical information to our member businesses to help them succeed, grow, thrive their business. And we do that in many ways. And I'll talk about that just briefly in a minute. We are a champion of our local assets. So that's kind of a marketing thing. We're in the business of bringing members and the general public to see some of the great assets that we have on the peninsula. So to instill confidence, but also to create more ambassadors for those places like NASA and Jefferson Lab and 757 Makerspace. And we've been to many different locations. We go to one every month in an event program called Spotlight on the Peninsula. And we are a regional collaborator. So the Virginia Peninsula Chamber is the Peninsula business community's representative in regional initiatives. Just recently, the board got together at a strategic planning session and discussed what are our main lines of effort at the Virginia Peninsula Chamber. So what are the main focuses of our mission? And we came up with 3 different ones. So advocacy is one, and advocacy takes many different forms, and I'll talk about those briefly in a second. Collaboration. So we, like I said before, we're a regional collaborator, but we collaborate with local organizations also, and leadership development. So I'll talk briefly about all 3 of those categories, and then I'll wrap it up with hopefully some questions from Tim, so I can expand on some of these things. So advocacy, everything we do, I think, falls under the category of advocacy. So we provide a forum for networking for business owners, for all types of business owners. So we have coffee connections every month. We have a business connection after hours every month. We have pink bag lunches. We have spotlight on the Peninsula events, which I talked about before. That's how we bring people to see the great assets that we have. We are working right now on a small business series with some of the partners who are on this call. But we're going to be doing 2 events every month, one a seminar type informational event, and then a second one where we bring in a business owner who has succeeded despite obstacles to talk about how they overcame obstacles, how they grew their company, and how they're thriving currently. We provide a bi-weekly newsletter with information from many different sources, but including from Tim. We take information from Tim. We have information from the U.S. Chamber. We have information from economic development offices from around the peninsula. So it's an aggregator of information that we put out every other week. We are also working public policy advocacy, so working with local city and county governments and the state government to help create conditions, so laws, policies, regulations that are more conducive to economic growth. We are a collaborator, so we work with regional organizations on things like the resiliency and recovery framework that was put together in the early days of the pandemic that helped us recover and will, moving forward, will help us to grow more resiliency in our economy. We also work with military partners, with other chambers, including the Williamsburg Chamber and the Hampton Roads Chamber. We work with an organization called Greater Peninsula Now, which is an organization that's representative of the top CEOs, the top businesses on the peninsula, and they are working strategic initiatives to help make the peninsula a better place to work, live, and play. We also collaborate with the universities, so we have a very good collaboration, for instance, with Christopher Newport University's Luter School of Business, and also with the Wasson Center at Christopher Newport University. In the area of leadership development, we have a program called Lead Peninsula that many of you may be familiar with. In fact, Jonathan Holman, the previous presenter, is a graduate from a few years ago. But that's a program. It's a civic immersion program where we bring 50 participants each year from a very diverse group of people, from military, from city government, from local businesses, from nonprofits, bring them together for a 10-month program where they get a behind-the-scenes look at what makes the peninsula economy work, or what are the obstacles to the peninsula economy working better. So that's a wonderful program. We also have other leadership programs like Impact Peninsula, which is a leadership forum where we bring in top business leaders and government leaders to discuss their decision-making in the current environment. We just recently had the New Hampton University President, General Williams, as a speaker. And before that, we've had Paul Tribble and John Lawson and people that you may be familiar with from the peninsula. We also are collaborating now on a leadership program with Christopher Newport University and it's a junior board of directors. So we're bringing 12 students from Christopher Newport University this year to act as kind of a mini board, to learn more about what a chamber's board of directors does and what the business community in Peninsula on the peninsula is concerned about, and how they make decisions and those types of things. So that's a quick summary. Is that quick enough, Tim? That's a quick summary of what the chamber does. Over to you for any questions.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Bob, and thanks for all the support that you provide. And anyone that has heard me do a presentation or a talk, I talk about 3 things all the time, and is you have to have a team, you have to have a product, and you have to have customers. And a lot of the resources that you've heard from today, they can help you from the team standpoint, and they can help you from the product standpoint. Bob, one of the things that I appreciate so much about you is the fact that you, being the connector that you are, people can leverage the chamber, because that is the customer aspect. If you want to grow as a business, or if you want to raise capital, you need to have customers, and you are such a great connector on that front. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, and like I said before, Tim, we rely very heavily on collaboration and on good partners, because we are such a small staff and kind of spread thin. So we appreciate your partnership and others on this call. And if anybody out there is not yet a partner but would like to be, we would love to have you. So my information is in the chat. Please get in touch with me. And if you'd like to join the chamber, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. And so can people join your mailing list without being a member of the chamber so they can learn about the events?
Sure. Yeah, they can send me an email and I'll put them in touch with our marketing coordinator.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We'd prefer that they join, of course. but-
Sure. Yeah, if they want, just to get a sampling of the different events that go on, if they can try something out, kick the tires, and I mean, it really, the chamber, you do such a great job with all the different things that you do, and you, like life, you get out of it what you put into it, and you really set the stage for people to take a lot out of the different opportunities that you present.
Thanks, Tim. And so another opportunity is to just follow us on social media, because we put out information on all our events on a weekly basis on social media.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Bob. I appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And all the support that you provide. So for everyone that joined and or is watching online or on demand later, thank you so much for joining us today. I am really impressed with our presenters. We stayed exactly on time throughout the entire program today. So one of the great things about Start Peninsula is once you're a participant of Start Peninsula, you are now connected with all of these resources. You are part of the alumni network of Start Peninsula. We have a couple things that are next up in terms of the pitch aspect of Start Peninsula. So on August 30th, we have our Pitch Perfect, because perhaps you have that idea and you want to pitch that idea, but you don't know how to pitch. We have Pitch Perfect on August 30th. I teach that along with Gary Plague. You don't need to know anything about pitching. We're going to go over all of that. The first hour talks about the elements of the pitch. The second hour gives people the opportunity to practice and get feedback on their pitch. It's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of. And that is in preparation for micro pitch number 3, which is going to be on September 13th. We limit that to 10 pitcher slots each event. There's only 5 left. It sells out every time. So I encourage you to apply to Start Peninsula, apply to pitch. Once your pitch application is approved, then you can go ahead and secure your spot. If you attend Pitch Perfect, and then once you pitch, the $50 that it takes to reserve your pitching slot is then refunded back to you. Because all the pitcher slots sell out every single time, we need to make sure that people show up for that pitch. So attend Pitch Perfect, perfect your pitch, show up, and then your money is returned to you. So it's a free event. On the micro pitch on September 13th, those 10 people will pitch. The top 3 will then advance to the final pitch event that will take place in November. And then throughout the course of the Start Peninsula year, we have the top 3 of all 4 micro pitches that compete in November. That's November 8th. The top 3 there receive $5,000 in prize money, seed funding, whatever you want to call it. The rest of the top 12, places 4 through 12, they receive $500, but you're connected to the network, and there's other prizes that will be available for you there. So please take advantage of that. StartPeninsula.com has all of the information. Thank you to our sponsors and to the localities for making Start Peninsula possible. It is really, it's motivating to me to see all of the different support mechanisms and resources available to you. So if you really are passionate about starting that idea, this Start Peninsula is a place to validate it. And then you're on the highway and you can connect with all the different resources along your journey to be the next successful business. It's really great to see the progress of all the different companies in which they have made. Our companies in Start Peninsula have gone on to raise $40+ million in funding. Just amazing success stories that we have seen. I'm really proud of what we've been able to do, and we wouldn't be able to do without the localities and their support. So on behalf of all the localities, thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, connect with us on Start Peninsula at startpeninsula.com. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.